Okay, now we'll move on to the questions for our speakers. May I request all speakers in the second half of our session to please turn on your videos so that everyone here can actually see you. Okay. All right. All right. Our first question is for Dr. Chonko. So this actually came from Franco. So how long do you believe the government can sustain its programs to mitigate the economic impact of COVID-19? It is very probable that COVID-19 pandemic will extend up to the end of 2021.
How long we, I thank you for the question. Um, how long it's really uncertain, but as long as we have strong, we have the stimulus package, fiscal policies, and then we maintain the financial systems that this we maintain and manage the financial system to be stable, then I think we're okay. As what Secretary Dominguez said, keep on saying that we started with a strong macroprudential. So I think we can still borrow money, but then the government has to earn. So there has to be some collection or tax collection. So we'll be able to survive, I think. Until next year, yes, we can. We will. Thank you. With
Okay,
the of the economy.
thank you, Dr. Tess. Our next question comes from Hilman Mendoza. So, is there any limitation on the use of CGE in modeling economic impacts when the economy is somewhat dysfunctional, restricted functioning with lots of externalities, for example, in a state of disequilibrium? The second question is on the macroeconomic level, um, what do you think of the current economic, sorry, kind of lost it. Current economic Bayanihan collective, oh, sorry. Yeah, okay. What do you think of the current, where am I? Economic response of the Philippines to the pandemic? Do you think the country has strong fundamentals to withstand the economic shock to the economic system? Specifically, do you think the country now has good fiscal policies or sound financial system in place to enable the country to recover economically post-pandemic, perhaps more efficiently and sooner rather than later? The Bayanihan or collective action was also highlighted by former NEDA Secretary Pernia. Public spending and private consumption are the key. So, any questions? Any comment on that?
Okay, thank you again for those questions. For the CGE, well, the reason why it's called computable general equilibrium model because it solves the problem, like whatever the shocks that you put into it, it will always make it will always come out with a solution that is in equilibrium. So the markets will always clear. So if there's some externalities, those are external shocks that you can include in the model. So the end will always be uh, aggregate supply equals aggregate demand with the prices and so on. So it depends on the assumptions that you put in. But yes, you can solve that. But those the externalities will be exogenous shocks to the model. So on the fiscal policy, like the Bayanihan Act 2, yeah, I actually support that, except the one on the calibrated corporate income tax because the acronym create will um, definitely put the economy down, given that the decrease in corporate income tax is so outright, like it's this year 5%, and there's going to be already a big deficit if we do that. But I understand that the government really wants to stir up the economy, especially encourage foreign direct investments. That's why they're cutting the corporate income tax by that much outright. But they have to think of the consequences because we're going to be in deficit for a longer time. And of course, Secretary Dominguez again mentioned that we can borrow, given we started with strong macroprudentials, we can borrow up to 50% of our GDP, but we don't want that to happen, right? And with the Build program, I have strong support on that. They The government should really push for it. Although Build BBB has another B, which is borrowing, and that's what doing. And but the multiplier effect is high, so like employment creation and then support to businesses. So I guess with that we can recover. And I already mentioned about the monetary policy earlier on. So with the macroprudential policy, that framework that was just released by the central bank, I think that would really manage the systematic risk that the COVID-19 is really creating now. So it will increase resiliency in the financial system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chonko. The next question is for Dr. Miranda, also from Hill. So, to me, the true transdisciplinary implies blurring of disciplinary lines, meaning willingness of each discipline to step out of their traditional methods and, in fact, cross fertilize their approaches or methods. Not a group of experts working together but still using their own traditional tools. It seems to me that the problem analysis flowchart should still interdisciplinary. High level coordination and being holistic are necessary, but not sufficient for an approach to be transdisciplinary. The question is, how do you plan to operationalize step three? Knowing how deeply experts hold on to and believe the value and power capability of their traditional tools. The causal map or mental map is a good start, but a unified transdisciplinary tool to analyze is still lacking or elusive.
Okay. First, I'd like to thank Hill for asking this question, which is very important. And I, in fact, agree with you, Hill. Transdisciplinary model, or even going beyond transdisciplinary, which is trans-systemic, is actually at this moment conceptual. And in fact, this is something that's the reason why I agree with you. We have to blur the line, or in fact, I would put it in another term, it's a kind of a recombination, a recombinant thinking, where we are actually working together without necessarily doing things in parallel, but actually doing things together. As not as me as an economist, or not me as a veterinarian or a medical doctor, but us together as responders to a wicked problem such as COVID-19. And that's why I agree with you. And so what I perceive to be happening is that for us to get to the transdisciplinary thinking, or transsystemic thinking, is that we have to first perfect interdisciplinary collaboration. We have to perfect that because we're starting from in fragmentation. We're starting from siloed thinking and siloed approaches. So to get through to the point of transdisciplinary working together, we need to go through a process. And education and leadership is important, as I had explained. I'm not now the section 3. I'm not so sure what that is, um, um, but pretty much what I would like to say is that it is conceptual and operationalization, as you said. In fact, a case study, for example, do we have a case study in the Philippines that it can actually represent transdisciplinary collaboration? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Miranda. I think what Dr. Jason presented is an initial step. Well, if it's not yet the complete transdisciplinary step, I think it is a good step towards achieving that particular purpose. Perhaps Dr. Jason can comment on how the team is working about having different experts within their group.
I think it started from a genuine need and passion to help out. But I think a lot of it has to do with the culture of the individual members and collectively of the institution. Because to begin with, these experts are coming together with an open mindset that it's important to collaborate. I think that's very important, as in many institutions, if you're looking into an organizational development perspective, culture is always the first step. If you don't have it, no matter what systems we place around it, we won't be able to achieve our goal moving forward.
There is a follow up question for you. How can we further improve our infrastructure for a better data science or health security and resilience?
Yeah, I think it's from Dr. Lau. Thank you for that question. I think there is no fast and easy way forward to improve the infrastructure, the data related infrastructure of the public health system. However, what is important now is what's happening with the COVID-19 pandemic. It's actually a policy window. So, if I'm going to quote King Don's theory, so we do have the problem on data in the pandemic. We do have the policies, supposed policies to solve these issues. And we have the political will now because we have more money, we have more interest, more salience for this issue. So we need to strike this golden opportunity to create advocacies. And this could be top down and bottom up. Top down, we could have advocates for policy lobbying, maybe a law related to including improving the data infrastructure of the public health system, and bottom up, such as the L4H consortium, the academe coming together to advocate for these things. So it's really advocacy, and it will start with policy. And the opportunity, golden opportunity is now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question goes to Dr. Teves. It is also from Hill. Do you think our regulatory infrastructure or legal framework, including laws and enforcement procedures, is already in place to regulate biorisk situations or occurrences? If not, do you think it is necessary to have one? For example, has there been significant case to warrant such a legal initiative? Is there any initiative, bill, or municipal ordinance to cover this particular risk?
Okay, thank you very much for the question. The answer is in the affirmative. For example, I have here with me a copy of the Presidential Executive Order number 112. I think this is the mother legal framework for the community quarantine, and of course the Constitution of the Philippines, for example, Section 15, Article 2 has been also mentioned, and then there is this Proclamation number 929, series of 2020, declaring a state of calamity beginning in Luzon, and the Bayanihan to Heal as one act. And then with this mother framework, legal framework, government agencies, line agencies also, followed suit. They also, released guidelines, like, for example, to govern the work schedule of or adjustments for government workers. We have the Civil Service Commission issuing their memorandum circular number 10, series of 2020. And then you have the Department of Education, you have the Commission on Higher Education, and then the Department of Public Work and Highways also, issued memoranda or, memorandum circulars. So in terms of laws, I think we have enough, but the problem is in the implementation. We can see, or I don't know, in Manila or in other places, but we do have a problem here in Iligan. Okay, it has been reported that Philippines is the second highest, in terms of compliance to the use of face masks. Second, according to a research, a survey. But I don't know if that's going to be true to all parts of the Philippines. And we still have that problem, the enforcement aspect. And worse, if the enforcers themselves are the ones who are breaking the law, okay? Not wearing a face mask, not adhering to social distancing, a lot of this. So we have these problems. We are very good in promulgating laws, but I think we have our weaknesses in the implementation. So even in the municipal or city level, we have, because for example, in our case in Iligan, the office of the mayor issued the executive order number 40 series of 2020, declaring the entire city of Iligan under modified community quarantine and providing for its guidelines. This is after the ECQ. So based on our risk assessments, we were able to, assist the local government unit in coming up with an appropriate, set of guidelines. So guidelines and laws, no problem. The main problem is in the enforcement. So I hope that we will improve somehow in enforcing this already existing laws. So that's my answer.
Thank you. The next question comes from Dr. Angeline Lau. The way we are disposing biohazardous waste from COVID 19, how do you think it affects us? Does personal use and improper disposal of masks increase our risks?
Yes, again, the answer is in the affirmative. That's the reason why I believe that hospitals, for example, should have a trained biorisk officer. So I don't know how many hospitals have trained biorisk officers, because the disposal of biological waste, especially biohazardous waste, is really, is critical. The storage of the waste itself, where is it going to be stored? What are the conditions during storage? Are there rodents and pests that are present in the storage location? So these are important things. And then another thing is the proper disposal. Okay, we have to inform the general public on how to dispose. For example, when we get rid of our old face masks, we don't want our face masks to be just scattered anywhere. We can look into either chemical or physical means of neutralizing the virus, for example. Currently, it is being considered, and I think there's much discussion in Manila right now on the requesting for modification of our law regarding incineration of waste. I think this is currently being discussed and debated on in Manila, okay, because we have a very strict law regarding incineration. However, we are already incinerating dead bodies. Those COVID-19 patients who died, okay, we cremate their bodies. And in a sense, it's really incineration. But for other materials like other biohazards, we should have a clear law regarding this. So I hope in the coming days we will have a concrete proposal from a group. I think there is a group in Manila discussing this now, to be presented to the national government. So you are right. There is really a need to take care of our biological wastes.
Yeah. Perhaps Dr. Alacapa can comment on it, being a physician and more involved, I guess, I suppose, in the hospitals to generate more hazardous waste.
Yes, I agree with Dr. Teves' pronouncement that we don't have any biorisk officers are not required for hospitals, except if they do have higher laboratories requiring higher biosafety level 2 and above. But at the minimum, they do have the pollution control officers, or PCO, which is not only unique to hospitals, but also to other institutions or businesses generating hazardous waste.
Okay, so thank you for that. So I would just like to get the consent of our speakers that maybe if our participants would want to get in touch with you, will it be okay for them to send me an email and then I'll connect them to you guys afterwards? Okay.
Yeah, sure.
So thank you very much. So that closes this particular session. But before we end, let me just share my screen to invite you to other sessions of our PAASE. Okay, let me share. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay, so okay, so like I mentioned, this is the second week of our 40th PAASE anniversary. So lectures and sessions and talks are still ongoing all the way to August 14. There are scheduled presentations from Monday to Friday from 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you want to see the complete program, so just kindly scan this QR code. It will take you to the website of the Philippine-American Academy of Science and Engineering, and you can find there a link towards identifying the program. Um, Next is for those of you who want to get to know more about our activities, you can find us on Facebook. We also have our website, which is paase.org, and we conduct regular webinars on Fridays from 8 to 10 in the morning. Except that we're on hold right now because we're celebrating our anniversary. But all of our webinars, including this one, will be uploaded in our YouTube channel, Paase Webinars. Okay, so with that, I'd like to close the session. So thank you, everyone. And if you have any questions for our speakers, please feel free to send me an email um, so that I can get them in touch with you. Okay, thank you, guys. That's all.
Thank you.